Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.
We're so thrilled to have back on the show an incredible multi-instrumentalist, singer-songwriter. She's been on before, even back when she was 13 years old. She's now 19. EmiSunshine.
Hey, thank you for having me back.
You know, I feel like every time you come in, it's like you and I talk more about the gear than we do about your album.
It is kind of how it goes. But I mean, we're having so much fun, we can't help it.
Right. And also, I mean, you play, I mean, we're both kindred spirits on playing kind of unique instruments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Including the tipple that you have on your lap.
Yes, the beautiful Martin tipple.
Right.
It's a 1927. It's gorgeous.
It is just so pretty.
It is. I love it so much. I got it at Gruen's, and it was originally, like, there was one just like it there. And there was the one that I originally saw.
Yeah.
And then from there on, I couldn't get it. I just didn't have the funds for it at the time, and I was like, I can't get it, you know? And then a fan of mine actually bought me one that was at Gruen's that was almost just like it, which is this one.
And what a great Opry instrument.
And what a great Opry instrument, yeah. I mean, my dad, like, I looked at my dad and I was like, hey, if you get me this, if I play the Opry one day, you have to get me this instrument. And he was like, sure, you know. And then like a month later, I played the Opry, and I was like, where is it? Where's my
Well, you know, and you've had like such a storied career on all this stuff, and I want to make sure we talk about also your brand new album that came out this last year, Sideshow. I mean, your voice just keeps getting better.
Thank you.
But I understand also there was a lot of cost on the producer and engineer for this one.
Oh yeah, lots of cost.
Kind of went deep on this one.
Went deep on this one. Yeah, the producer was me on this one.
And your dad was the engineer.
Engineer, yeah. So yeah, we didn't get paid for this one, but here's the thing, we got paid in the love of the music.
Right.
So we are so happy to be able to produce it and
it sounds so good with this album, and I know it's been so well embraced from No Depression and all these other outlets, and you know, country music magazines, everything have been grabbing a hold, because I hear your influences in this, to where certainly the deep bluegrass, you've got some chicks in here, you got some Civil Wars, but it's all you.
Yeah.
How did you end up with these guests on the album? Let's talk about the guests that you brought on.
I know. Well, Cruz Contreras, I had known him from the Black Lilies at the time when I was younger, and I had really gotten to know them, and I listened to their music like since I was a child. Like, they were a big influence of mine.
Yeah.
And I remember loving Cruz just so much and thinking, who is the perfect voice for someone like this in a song, you know, character-wise, you know? And I thought, oh my gosh, Cruz's voice is so like, it's just so like, I don't know, smooth, you know? I felt like it was something that fit that character perfectly.
It's like velvet. But you know, I got to tell you, when I was listening to all the tracks on this incredible album, when White Dress came on, I'm like going, wow, Emi's voice has really dropped.
It's really gotten deep, hasn't it? Yeah.
And it's funny that on all the other songs, your range was higher.
I know.
But I mean, it sounds so good with the two of you.
Thank you.
On that. And you had some other guests on the album too.
I did. I had a few other. I mean, like, it was sort of kind of crazy, honestly, like getting the whole album together at the time.
Right.
Like the idea of like wanting to do bluegrass, but not wanting to make it unauthentic to myself, you know, because I grew up in Americana music, you know, gospel and bluegrass. It's kind of like it all runs together, you know.
And that's why you get to call it roots.
That's why it's roots. That's why it all runs in one vein. And that's the good thing about like music to me, is that it's just, it can all be a little bit of everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, when you had Wyatt Ellis on here too, was it kind of like having the young you on here?
Honestly, having Wyatt on this whole album, not on the whole album, but having him on that song, like just in general, was so surreal to me, because like it's something that I wanted as a kid, you know, like to have, you know, another artist, you know, be like, hey, come on in, like let's kind of pull you up here to play with other people. So, and of course he's going all over now, and I'm so proud of him, and I'm so glad to get to work with him. So
we recently had him on the show, but it's like, but I wanted to mention also, it's EmiSunshine and The Rain.
Yes.
So the family band, we were talking about, you know, your dad and you as well, you know, you guys are both playing the Kala instruments.
We are.
He's playing the U basses, and you have a signature model.
I do. I have a signature model. It is my beautiful Kala. I love it so much. I remember telling my my amazing designer for this ukulele, just the wood and everything. I remember like her going like great into depth of what I needed to do, like what wood I would want, what the neck would look like, really just the depth of the neck, you know, if I wanted it like to be a shorter body or if I wanted it to be like longer, if I wanted what I wanted from it completely, and just even coming down to, you know, the pegs and everything. And I was just like, this is crazy. I've never had somebody go this in depth for, you know, a ukulele for me, you know.
Well, and also it's got your logo intertwined on the top of it.
On the top of it, yeah. It's beautiful. Oh, I just love how it looks there, because it has like my logo in there and then the blackbird at the top for me, for my logo. So.
I love it. Well, and you and I had talked too before, Emmy, to where, you know, the ukulele is not characteristically a bluegrass or a roots instrument, but you've made it one in your band and really given it a voice from playing it, you know, like as a child even.
Yeah, I remember, you know, not a lot of people playing it when I was like maybe 6 or 7, you know, and I wanted to incorporate it into a type of music that it's never been seen in before.
Right.
So I thought it was such a unique concept that I was like, wow, I guess I've never seen someone use ukulele for this before. And I thought, oh, I want to be one of the first for that.
And you write a lot with it also.
Yeah, I write. That's honestly my main instrument that I write with.
Even when you're doing co-writes with your mom and other people. And you've co-written with like Jim Lauderdale and some other major names.
Oh yeah, I've co-written with some amazing people. Like one of my favorites, like obviously Jim, because like he has been one of my biggest inspirations. Like I grew up listening to his music and listening to him talking and just like his whole thing, especially like on Tennessee Shines and all that. Like it's just, he's so cool.
Jim is so laid back.
He's so laid back and he's just so kind and he makes other people feel good, you know? And that's how I want to be as an artist.
Yeah,
you know?
and I think you do. And I mean, this whole album, I mean, it's hard to pick my favorite track on here. I mean, obviously Sideshow for the imagery.
Yeah.
And I heard, you know, eventually there may be a music video for Sideshow.
There will be in time, in good time.
Because, you know, you could like, you know, find a local carnival and just kind of integrate the band.
Totally.
You know, bring the rain to the carnival.
Bring the rain to the carnival. Honestly,
which is typically not what you want to do.
I kind of want them to be, my idea, honestly, is kind of making them a part of that carnival, you know?
Oh my gosh, yes.
And Sideshow is really just talking about, you know, us being, you know, those acts, you know, being those people who are in the background, but still, you know, entertaining in the way that we do.
Wow,
So,
the music is incredible, and I wanted to bring up also, you've had some recent awards over the past few years, including last year with Entertainer of the Year award.
That was crazy. I couldn't believe it.
You thought you were going out to LA to just perform.
I did.
And it's like, oh, by the way, here's an award.
Oh, by the way, yeah. I was sitting there and they were like, they said this one thing, I remember. They were like, oh, hey, it's an artist who is 19 years old, who has been touring her entire life, working her butt off, you know. And I was like, who is it?
I want to see this person.
I want to see this person, you know. And then they were like, she's had 10 albums out, and that's when I knew it. I was like, oh, it's me.
Oh my gosh.
And I went up there, tears in my eyes, freaking out.
How flattering, though.
It was so flattering. I didn't even know what to say. I was thanking the people that I loved and the people that, you know, were really there for me. So,
well, and just a few years earlier, you had won the Desmond Child Award back in 2019.
That was insane, too. I mean, I knew that was happening.
He's written a few popular songs.
He's wrote a few of them.
It could work out for him.
It could work out for him one day. No, he is a legend, and I am so glad that I got to have the honor to win that award.
Well, and I was going to bring up, too, I think the last time we had talked, Emmy, was with Family War.
Yes.
And obviously the critics just loved that album. And you worked with Tony Brown.
I did.
That, you know, I mean, and then, but it's amazing to me with this new album, how did you decide to jump into the producer seat?
Well, I had already kind of looked into that a lot. I co-produced with Tony on Family Wars, and I really kind of got a taste for that, I guess you could say. Gotcha. And I love producing now. Like, it's so much fun. I love it. And I to have the control of, you know, where it's going. I love the ideas that I can come up with and how they can be incorporated. I love, you know, just being able to have that creative control. So it's so much fun.
Well, you know, and that's what I noticed also, and certainly Family War, great album. Loved it, and I know it's gotten a lot of airplay. But with this one, to me, I notice, you know, the instrumentation more.
Yes.
Certainly, you know, when it's starting off with the mandolin or more with the banjo and everything else, to where it's like, there's just a weaving of the instruments on Sideshow. Was that on purpose?
Yes, I think so entirely. Like, I wanted it to be centered around, you know, usually, you know, it's the guitar, you know, being our rhythm.
Dominant. And you're playing more guitar now, too.
And I am playing more guitar now. I played a lot. But on this album in particular, it was ukulele being our entire, like, foundation.
I noticed that. And that's not easy.
It's
Sonic,
not.
I mean, like you and I were talking before we came in the studio, just with the frequency, you know, you're hitting a different area with the ukulele than you do with the other. And you were saying, too, to not be in competition with, like, the mandolin.
Yes, exactly. So whenever I would add a mandolin into a song, it would always be to add in some little fluttery things, you know,
I
like the
that.
little, I call it little fluttery things, you know. I love when they do that. It's so cute, and it just adds such dimension,
It
and
does.
it's gorgeous. And I love just all of the lead parts that can be behind the ukulele, or the ukulele be behind that, and it just kind of mixes to where it kind of creates this, I don't know, it's this depth.
Right.
So yeah.
I mean, I've got to bring this up too, Emmy, to where, you know, once again, you started singing at 4 years old. You know, you really hit the stage and started, you know, making it, I would say, at 9.
Yes.
You're 10 years into this career.
Yeah, I guess
10
I
years,
am.
10 years, 10 albums.
Yeah. I don't
What
know.
does it feel like? Because you haven't even broken your 20s yet.
No.
And you've got a great body of musical work.
I don't know. It feels incredible to have accomplished, you know, as much as I have, and to have worked as much as I have.
Right.
Like, to be able to say that, you know, in my career that I have put out 10 albums, and I have put out all these music videos, and I've gotten these awards, and being able, but the one thing that really makes me the happiest is when I'm able to make a kid happy out in front of out in front of the crowd, you know, like
Right.
being able to see somebody else's face out there, you know, smiling at me and being happy with what I'm doing, and it kind of creating that moment for them in their lives, you know, because I have so many kids who come to my concerts who say, oh, this is her first concert, this is her, or this is his first concert, or this is the first time we've taken her out to something like this, you know.
How powerful.
And to me, that is my favorite thing, being able to have a kid say to me, like, I've had a few say to me, like, I want to be like you when I grow up. And that, like, having that's my favorite. Like, out of all the things I've ever done, like, that is it.
That is amazing. Well, and I mean, and you just keep getting better. I mean, with Sideshow, like I said, it seems like a coming of age album to me, because your voice is stronger than ever. The high notes you're hitting.
Thank you.
And just with all of the songs within this album, it's like you're going to have to keep your voice in good shape on this tour.
I will. I will. Honestly, I've come to the realization that as long as you take care of your voice, you shouldn't have a problem. As long as you are singing correctly, and as long as you are drinking enough fluids, you know, and sometimes in higher altitudes it can be a problem,
Right.
which is like such a...
And for the instruments too.
And for the instruments too. I actually have that happen sometimes where, like, you can have some of them crack or like anything like that. So it is absolutely terrifying.
Right.
So to me, touring can be extremely more involved than people think it is.
Yep.
For the instruments and for the artists.
Oh, yeah.
So.
And I think also one of the smart things that you did early on in your career and continue to do is keeping your family around you.
Absolutely.
And keeping people that you trust around you. And it's obviously worked for you.
It has worked for me pretty well, I will say.
So you've got some big shows and concerts coming up this year. Obviously, headlining a lot of these shows now, Emmy, and you've also shared the stage with Willie Nelson, Tanya Tucker, Loretta Lynn. Now you're the headliner.
Honestly, being able to do that for shows and being able to be like the main person is totally fun. But I love opening up for people too. Like both of those things.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoyed, you know, getting to work with Loretta and getting to work with Tanya and Willie, and
my
just
gosh.
all of those people.
And
Especially,
then maybe back on the
yeah.
Opry this year.
Hey, maybe, you never know. You never
Right.
know.
And maybe some other endorsement deals too for other instruments and things, you know.
Yeah.
Guitars. I mean, who
Hey,
knows what's going to happen?
I hope so. I mean, I'm always up for another endorsement deal.
Exactly. Well, I'll tell you what, I love the new album. And I know also you're going to have some pretty cool merch coming out with this also too, right?
I do. I have a lot of good merch coming out with this when it comes to like t-shirts, and especially with my next album, I have to say, because I have a lot going on there. It's going to be a solo album, and it's something that is in the works for this year. So
You're so busy. Well, I'll tell you what, I want to make sure that our viewers know where to see you in concert, you know, and follow you on social media, the website, everything. Where should they go?
you should go to EmiSunshine.com. You can find everything you need there. You can find my merchandise, my social media, everything you need to know about me and my band, and tour dates. So
Yep.
yeah.
And this is The Rain is a Good Thing. Be sure and check out the entire album, however you consume music, whether it's digital, whether you want it on CD, this needs to be on vinyl too. I'm telling you what, you're going to love every song on here as much as I do, especially Sideshow,
Yes.
the title track.
Thank
But
you.
there's so many other great ones on here. I could go on and on. Scars in the Wings. I mean, oh my gosh, so many. Your voice just sounds so incredible.
Thank you.
So-
I so appreciate
well,
it. And thank you for having me on today.
It's
too.
always a pleasure. EmiSunshine, please go see EmiSunshine and The Rain perform live, even better than when you hear them recorded. And she might have some interesting instruments like this tipple out with her.
Oh, I might. Never know. I have all kinds of them. You'll see different ones at every show.
You need a separate truck just for those.
I have several chocolate.
Emmy, thanks so much for coming on
Thank
the show.
you. Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure.
Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.